As a member of the Jurassic Park generation, one of the most sacred moments of my life was hiking up to the Walcott Quarry a few years ago, high up in the Rocky Mountains in Yoho National Park. It's part of the Burgess Shale, where fossils tell us what it was like to swim and dig and eat 500 million years ago. Now, paleontologists like Charles Doolittle Walcott are famous for studying the fossils there, but this place means a lot to other groups too, to visitors, to indigenous groups who are excluded from the parks. So in my research project, I tried to find out how scientists got access to these spaces and who else parks excluded. I looked for clues in government records and museum archives, in permit requests, receipts, and old letters. And here's what I found out. Walcott was head of the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C., and the first time that he traveled to Yoho on the train was in 1907. Now, you might think that he needed permission to dig up fossils. But Canada's parks were new, and they actually didn't have the authority to demand that anyone get a permit. And in fact, parks and railways advertised trilobite collecting as a fun thing for tourists to try. One Yoho brochure said, "Millions of specimens are ours for the taking. We gather them as one gathers blueberries in a blueberry swamp." Still, traveling from Washington was expensive, and Walcott often brought his family out to do fieldwork with him on the train. Luckily for them, sometimes the Canadian Pacific Railway gave them free train tickets. Why? Well, he and his wife, Mary Vaux, published landscape photos and magazine articles about the places they visited in parks, and they persuaded railway officials. This was great marketing. In a lot of ways, Walcott reinforced the image of parks as playgrounds for white, wealthy visitors, maybe most of all through how he named the fossils. He named them after lakes and mountains and railway stops on the new colonial maps of the Rockies. And in exchange, the Park Service did favors for him, like looking the other way when a member of his team illegally shot a sheep. Meanwhile, First Nations who lived in the area, Stoney and Secwepemc and Ktunaxa people, were banned from living and hunting there, and sometimes testified about being put in jail for owning meat hunted off reserve. Research like Walcott's helped the Burgess Shale earn a spot on the World Heritage List in 1980. And so many visitors came out and wanted to take a piece home that park staff worried there wouldn't be a Burgess Shale left. So they shut down public access to the beds. And now if you want to get in, you have to pay for a spot on a guided hike. And you definitely can't take anything home unless you want to pay a couple $1,000s in fines. Canada has some very ambitious goals to protect new lands and waters by 2030, many of them in parks. And I hope my thesis encourages parks managers and paleontologists to consider the way that scientists' interaction with park spaces can make it difficult for other groups to get close to them. Thank you.